The Last Breath, a Stoic's lesson on mortality. Every man believes he has time. He wakes each morning as if the dawn has signed a contract with him. He moves through his days believing that death is distant, a guest that visits only the old, the sick, the unfortunate. He fills his life with plans and possessions, chasing titles, comforts, and applause, forgetting that every step he takes is one step closer to the end. But eternity owes no one anything. Every breath is borrowed. Every heartbeat is a gift already fading as it arrives. There once lived an old philosopher, known throughout the land for his stillness. He had lived through wars, through famine, through betrayal and triumph. Yet his eyes carried no bitterness, only clarity. Those who met him said that when he spoke, even the wind seemed to listen. People traveled from distant cities to seek his counsel. They came burdened by grief, by ambition, by the endless noise of living. And though he spoke few words, they left lighter, as if they had been reminded of something ancient that the world had made them forget. One evening, when the sun was sinking behind the mountains, a young man approached the philosopher's home. He was pale, his eyes restless, his mind heavy with questions. He bowed deeply and said, "Master, I am afraid. Every time I look at the stars, I think of my own death. Every time I fall ill, I feel panic. How can I live knowing that one day I will be gone?" The philosopher studied him for a long moment, his face calm as stone. Then he said, "Tell me, young man, do you fear death, or do you fear that you have not lived rightly?" The question pierced the young man like a blade. He hesitated, then replied, "I have lived. I've loved, worked, studied, and dreamed. I've done what any man would." The old man smiled faintly. "You have existed," he said, "but you have not lived consciously. You move through your days as if time were infinite, as if tomorrow were guaranteed. You cling to life not because you love it deeply, but because you have not learned how to let it go." The young man frowned. "To let it go? Should I not hold on to life?" "Hold on," said the philosopher, "but hold on with open hands. When you cling, you suffer twice, once when you live in fear, and again when life slips through your grasp. To live wisely is to live prepared. To live prepared is to live free." He turned his gaze toward the horizon, where the last light of day painted the sky in gold and crimson. "Look there," he said. "The sunset is beautiful not because it lasts forever, but because it ends. The flower blooms not despite its fading, but because of it. If the dawn never gave way to night, you would cease to notice its glory. What gives beauty its power is its impermanence." The young man looked at the sunset, silent. The world around him seemed sharper, the wind cooler, the air clearer, the sound of his breath louder. The philosopher continued, "Every man must face death twice, once when he first realizes it is real, and again when it comes for him. The wise man dies only once. The fool dies every day in fear." The young man lowered his eyes. "Then tell me, Master, how can I live without fearing the end?" The philosopher's gaze was steady. "By living as if you were already dead." The young man's heart raced. "What do you mean?" "Imagine," said the philosopher, "that you died yesterday. That everything you were, your plans, your regrets, your dreams, ended. And then imagine that today was given to you as a miracle. One more sunrise, one more meal, one more chance to speak, to walk, to love. Tell me, would you waste it? Would you hurry? Would you argue? Would you worry about things beyond your control?" The young man's throat tightened. "No," he whispered, "I would live differently. I would live fully." "Then live that way," said the philosopher. "That is the art of living. The Stoic man does not seek immortality, he seeks integrity. He does not beg for more years, he asks only that the years he has be lived with honor, clarity, and purpose." The two men sat in silence for a time. The night arrived slowly, carrying the scent of pine and the distant echo of crickets. The philosopher lit a small lamp, and its flame flickered between them, fragile, yet steady. "Do you see this light?" he asked. The young man nodded. "It burns because it must," the philosopher said. "It consumes its own fuel to shine. So it is with life. Every moment you live consumes a part of you. You are the flame and the fuel. If you burn with purpose, your light warms others before it fades. But if you burn with fear and complaint, you waste your fire on smoke." The young man was silent, staring into the flame. "Tell me," the philosopher continued, What is it you fear losing? My future, the young man said. My loved ones, my memories, everything I've built. The philosopher smiled softly. And where were all these things before you were born? You came into this world owning nothing, not even your breath. You will leave the same way. All that you call yours is borrowed from nature. To live well is to accept that you must one day give it back. He stood slowly and gestured toward the night sky. The stars stretched endlessly above them. You see those stars? Some of them died long ago, yet their light still travels. So it is with the deeds of a virtuous man. His body may fall, but his light continues, in memory, in influence, in the lives he has touched. This is what it means to live beyond death. The young man's eyes filled with tears. Then death is not the enemy. No, said the philosopher. Death is the great equalizer, the silent teacher. It reminds the king and the beggar that they share the same fate. It humbles the proud, strengthens the wise, and purifies the heart of all vanity. Fear it, and you suffer. Respect it, and you are free. The young man nodded slowly, absorbing every word. The philosopher's tone grew quiet, steady. The fear of death is not born from death itself, but from a life unlived, from words unsaid, dreams unpursued, kindness withheld. When a man has lived fully, death cannot take anything essential from him. He walks toward it as a traveler returning home. The wind grew colder. The flame flickered. Remember this, the philosopher said. Life is not measured by its length, but by its depth. Many live long but die shallow. A few live briefly but deeply, and in that depth, they touch eternity. The young man bowed. I see now, he said. I have feared what I should have honored. I have wasted the time I should have cherished. The philosopher nodded. Then learn from this moment. When you wake each day, say to yourself, I will die, perhaps today. And let that awareness guide your choices. It will sharpen your purpose, humble your pride, and purify your intentions. He paused, then smiled gently. When death finally comes, meet it not with fear, but with gratitude. Say to it, you are not my enemy. You are my reminder that I have lived well. That is the Stoics' final victory. Years passed. The young man grew old. He lived simply, speaking little, helping much. He learned to accept fortune and misfortune alike. When praise came, he did not rise. When insult came, he did not fall. For he had learned that neither added nor took away from who he truly was. He taught others what the old philosopher had taught him, that to live rightly is to die peacefully. He told his students, every breath is a rehearsal for your last. Learn to breathe with awareness. Learn to live with presence. One day, that habit will make your final breath a calm one. As the years passed, his body weakened, but his eyes remained bright, two small fires burning with serenity. He often said, I do not fear death, because I have met it 1,000 times, in every ending, every loss, every goodbye. Each time it came, I greeted it like an old friend. When his final hour came, his students gathered around his bed. The old man looked at them and smiled. Do not mourn me, he said softly. Mourn only the man who lived without awareness, who never tasted the sweetness of the present moment. I am not dying, I am simply returning what was never mine. One of his students wept and asked, Master, what lies beyond? The old man closed his eyes. That, he said, is not for me to know. What matters is that I have lived this life as nature intended, with reason, with virtue, with love. The rest is not my concern. He took one last breath, slow, deliberate, peaceful, and then let it go. The room was silent, but in that silence, they felt no fear. Only calm, only truth. And in that stillness, they understood the lesson he had carried all his life, the lesson first spoken by the philosopher long ago. That death is not the enemy. Forgetfulness is. That to live without awareness is to die long before the body falls. That to live with discipline, gratitude, and virtue, even for a single moment, is to have truly lived. For the Stoic, the victory is not in escaping death, but in meeting it as an equal, with eyes open, heart steady, and soul at peace. So when your final breath comes, may you not cling or beg. May you look at death not with fear, but with reverence. And may your final words echo across the silence of eternity. I have lived well. I have lived with virtue. I am ready.